resources, finance, or marketing. It can also be a combination of all these departments combined. So these are the main reason as to why corporate or any kind of institution would give out case studies and expect unique solutions in return. Now, what are the outcomes of participating or developing a case solution for these type of cases? Firstly, it leads to process improvement for all the problems that they would have mentioned in the case. Secondly, they would have wanted the innovative approaches that the new and young bright minds would give, because the innovative and the future thinking mindset is definitely required for all the businesses to stay in the market. The third one is they get a competitive edge with respect to all the other market leaders that they are having. The fourth point, it drives the business, which means that if they answer these particular problems that are currently going on in their organization, that will be the key to having drive the business in the market, which means that they would be profitable in the long term. And finally, the sustainable impact. This is what all the organizations are now currently focusing on. Now I'll talk about how do you approach such case studies and what are the exact steps, or what are the steps revolving around these ideas that I'm going to give. And if you follow these steps, I think you would have a good framework as to how you can develop any solution. Firstly, you would have to understand the problem statement as to what exactly they are wanting to tell. And secondly, you need to research about the company or the institution or any business that is giving out that particular case study, and about all the stakeholders that are involved within the case study. There should be a thorough research that has to be done. The next step is to brainstorm ideas, which are uh, the ideas should be such that they have to be feasible in the first place. And the second main important thing is the time that it will take, that would be required to implement those ideas. The solutions that you would develop should not be such that it would take a very long time for the business to implement. It should be a good amount of time, but it should not be very slow to implement. That would be a negative point for the business. And thirdly, the impact that your solution creates. These are the main things that any case study would majorly uh, gauge your solution upon. And the last step is how exactly do you map your solutions to the problem statements. And this is the main point where most of the students would mistake upon, that they would have gotten the right solutions, but they do not know how to map the solutions to the problem statements. If you do not address the problem statement, that would not answer the question. So it's not about how you develop the solution, it's mainly how you map the right solutions. Coming to the second part, you would also have to parallelly do a competitor research as to what are the other players in the market. This can be again segregated into two types. That is, you can do a competitor research based on the industry that the company is in, and secondly, the practices or the initiatives that other businesses are taking up in the market. Once this particular research is done, you'll have to identify the pain points or the loopholes that the businesses would be having. And this is the main part of solving any case study. If you identify the right pain points, that means that you have hit the target, and you can then approach as to how you would what do you call address the loopholes. And this can be done again in two ways. You can see those in the green boxes. Firstly, you have to design think ideas by brainstorming, which means that if you are in a group of three or four, or say even five people, you will have to sit down and list down every possible solution that you think would be feasible, and then shortlist all the relevant and good ideas that the business can implement. This can also be done in combination with the concepts and principles that you would have learned in your academic classes, and also throughout your MBA that you would be learning in the near future. And the last and the final, which is a very important step, is you'll have to arrange all your solutions very strategically. It should not be haphazard. There should be a right flow of the solution or the flow of ideas that you would be bringing, because the business needs to identify which is the first step that they have to do and which is the next step, and a sequence and a procedure has to be provided to the business. So this slide overall represents as to how you have to approach any case study, and you can add many more steps to this particular flowchart, but this is an overview as to how you can implement solution for any of the case study. Now I would be uh, giving you a sample case study. I would explain it in brief, and you can then uh, provide your inputs as to how you would solve this particular case study. So here we go. Think that you are an established organization and you are in the industry of cement. You wish to expand your business uh, as of now, and you want to expand your business in the lesser known areas of India. That could be villages or tier 3 cities. And now you are open to how you would provide a solution for this problem statement. You can either unmute yourself or you can use the chat box to answer this. You can unmute yourself and give a few points so that I understand what is your exact thinking behind it.
Can I start? So
Sure.
yeah, so I think I will do means first a competitor analysis. It means in this lesser known areas, which competitors is there and at how many price they are selling and what are the products they are delivering. So there are many kinds of product also which they are delivering a different type of cements. So what are the cements they are targeting there? And then similarly, I will proceed with marketing strategy and what are the key points to target them. And similarly, also I will means at the same time I will look at my target audience also. So what is in what area there is most of the development in lesser known areas. I think I will proceed in this type of way. First competitor analysis and target finding out my target audience then.
Okay, yeah. You have got most of the points correct, and that is how you have to tackle a case study in the initial stages. Is there anyone else who would take up and answer?
So, Pradyumna, we have a few responses in the chat box. So, Priyanshi Karya has said, set competitor benchmarking, then look at the strategies for marketing.
Okay, I think all of you guys have got most of the points right. Yes, you'll have to do competitor benchmarking, and you'll have to look for strategies for marketing, and you'll have to do a thorough network. Okay, establishing a thorough network of transport by which the product can reach those areas. Okay, keeping a competitive price. Yes, these are the good points. Cheaper and affordable products. Okay, good marketing. Okay, these are some of the starting points, and this is how brainstorming has to be done. I would first survey about people's needs. What do they exactly need? Then I would make affordable products and then make a good marketing strategy. Okay, great. Uh, just a second. Yeah, I'll just go to the kind of solution that I would develop for this particular problem statement and explain the solution in a little detail so that you'll get an idea as to how you can approach the solution. Is my slide visible now?
Yes, Pradyumna, it's visible.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you can start with the left side top corner of the solution. This is the solution is in brief, and I'll just explain what this particular slide means. You can also observe how the solution could be arranged, and this is also an important part of how you develop your solution. You can see the aim as to set up a new venture or business in the lesser known areas, considering the following analysis. Firstly, you would have to perform a risk analysis. On the left top corner, you can see a matrix. And also a 2 by 2 grid where you can map the markets and the products which are currently there, which means that you'll have to research upon the market penetration, product development, diversification, and the market development. You can see how the risk increases with the flow of the graph. As mentioned in the table, the markets and the products showcase the increased risk if the diversification is increased. So these are some of the points you'll have to consider. Uh, while developing any solution, you could also adopt any kind of methodology. In this methodology, I have implemented the Six Sigma principles. You can see it in the middle of the screen, which is the sort, set in order, safety, shine, standardize, and sustain. The Six Sigma or the 6S of Six Sigma should be adopted for timely and proper implementation in a business. It also intends to improve business processes by greatly reducing the profitability, the probability that an error or a defect will occur, which means that the process that I have adopted is to minimize all the errors that the company would be facing in the near future, so that if you address the pain points, which means that they are reducing all their errors, and gradually the profits and the market would be penetrated. The next approach that you would take is by doing a SWOT analysis as to you'll gauge the strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and the threats in the existing market. And then you will identify all the regions where they could set a foot in, and profits would then start flowing to them. On the right side, you can see all the probable areas of questions that you'll have to consider while starting a new business. The first one is the arenas, where the questions will majorly revolve around where the business would be active. The second part is the new business, which means that what are the strategies we'll use to get there. The third part is staging, which means that what will be the speed and the sequence of the moves. This is an important part of the solution, and the businesses would be looking for this particular type of structure. The fourth one is the economic logic. Uh, it mainly focuses on what are the returns, what are the profits they would be gaining, the ROI, which means that what would be the profits they would be gaining against the investment that they would make in the new strategies. Some of the questions here that should be addressed are whether the lowest cost through scale advantages, which means that these are some of the points, and you'll have to analyze these points in detail. The last point is the differentiation, which means that what is the special or the unique feature that you would showcase in your product, which is different from all the other uh, businesses in the current market. Which means that what is the competitive advantage that you're having, whether it's the image customization, price, styling, product reliability, or the speed to market. These are some of the aspects that you would have to answer, so that the businesses or the company that would give out a case study would have the right approach in solving their particular problems. So you can have a look at this particular slide for around 10 to 15 seconds more, and you can ask me any questions if you're happy. Are there any questions?
Pradyumna, you have a few questions. So the first question is by Shreyans Singh, and he says, can you explain Six Sigma?
Sure. Six Sigma is basically a methodology wherein you wish to reduce the errors in each stage of the entire supply chain or the operations that they are having in a particular company. Say, for example, you take the cement industry. which means that the production of cement happens at one particular location in a country, and it is transported for further processes to another part of the city. And there could be losses in terms of time and money while transporting the produced goods that they are having. So the Six Sigma methodologies tries to solve these kind of problems or the losses that they're facing in between transportation or while the production and the manufacturing. So if you follow these processes in each of the step that they're having, that is if you sort the problem first, and if you set in order all the methodologies or the manufacturing processes that they're having, if you correct and improvise them, it will lead to a greater efficiency. So that's what Six Sigma is all about.
The next question is by Priyamda Patak, and the question is, sir, how will you use Arena's point in economic logic?
Okay. In the arenas, you can see some of the questions like channels, market segments, and geographic areas. So you're asking for an economic standpoint, which means that if you target a particular geographic area, say the north of India, and you have a production center somewhere in the center of India, which means that you would incur a cost in transportation of the finished goods to that particular region or the area, and that's how the economics of prices would come in, wherein what would be the price involved in you could define new metrics as to price per good, or what would be the price incurred in transportation of the goods, the efficiency in that especially in the demand and supply context of that particular geographic areas. So you could analyze an economic standpoint of the arenas in this particular way.
So guys, we will be taking up more of your questions towards the end of the session. So you can type in your questions in the chat box and we will be taking up these questions at the end. So thank you so much for your questions. We can move on.
Okay, so thank you all for your patient listening. This is the end of my slide. And if you have any further questions, you can ask to me or you can ask to the team at the end of the session. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you all.
Thank you for your insights, Pradmila.
Sir,
That was...
Sir.
Go ahead, Shivani.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Sir, could you please, sir, could we get a recording of this session?
Yes, Shivani, it will be sent to you on your registered email address.
Sir, by tomorrow?
Yes, Shivani. Just contact us on our official email ID. The link is in the chat box and we will get back to you. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, so I would like to say thank you for your insights, Pradyumna. That was indeed very insightful. And I bet the students have a better understanding on how to crack these case studies henceforth. So thank you. Also, I would like to encourage everyone to register for the SNAP exam. You can register for the same at www.snaptest.org, wherein you'll get more details about the SNAP exam. So please visit the link in the chat box, and we encourage you to register for the same. Moving on now, next we have Sneha Gagar, another second-year student at SCMHRD, currently pursuing finance. She works with HSBC SDG Group during her summer internship. She has been awarded the campus winner of the CFA Institute Research Challenge 2022. She has also won the HSBC case study competition conducted this year and has been declared campus winner for the same. Sneha, the floor is all yours.
Thanks a lot, Jatin. So for my share of talking, so I'll just present my screen. I have a small photograph for you all just to show you what the case study, like what a case study or something is all about. So is my screen visible?
Yes, yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So like, if you could see the infographic, so this is basically what a case study is, what behind the scenes of a case study are. So you get the first, second, third position, but beyond that, you have all these things. So there is passion, focus, hard work, late nights. So this is what actually goes into winning or ultimately winning a case study competition. So I'll simply walk you through what my journey has been, what my experience has been. So starting from the very first year, we were encouraged to participate in a lot of case studies. So they were generally corporate case studies, so be it from Myntra, Amazon, or there were things like Airtel. So there will be a lot of opportunities coming your way. Now, when you participate in those case studies, you get to understand that, okay, what are your plus points? What are things that you can contribute to the team? And through that, you also get to understand that, okay, who are the people who are the best that you can work with? Okay. So through these case studies that I participated in, so initially, obviously, you don't really win all those case studies, but yes, you have a learning curve. So later on, I realized that like finance specific case studies were something that I was more comfortable with. And even like, thanks to my team who were really dedicated, and after a lot of initial losses or initial defeats, we kind of created some templates. We learned that, okay, from that case study, we get to know that, okay, we need to work on our research part a bit more. Okay, through this case study, we get to know that, okay, the financial modeling was maybe not appropriate. There was some other method that we could have used to project some of the financials or project some of the the assumptions that we had taken were not really solid. So this is basically what happens through case study competitions in essence. So in B schools, you get to learn a lot of concepts in your classes. Case studies are something that will actually help you to put that into practice and then come up with practical solutions, come up with feasible solutions. So apart from that, what really helps when you do a case study, so like put a lot of effort into the research. So I guess even for the case study that you will be getting right now, read the case properly, read the kind of content that you have been given properly, and then just try to do a lot of background research about the industry that you have been given, so that you kind of develop an understanding that, okay, what is it that we actually have to find out? How does this industry operate? And how can we best utilize that information which we have into presenting a solution, like into giving the deliverables that have been asked out of us. So apart from that, so this is an individual case study, but yes, it is an important factor which goes into case study competitions is your team. So for example, there will be a lot of instances when you think that nahi ho raha bhai ab yahan par, because in B schools you get such a lot of commitments that case study competitions and putting those hours will actually seem very difficult at times. But it is just having that much of passion, having that much of dedication to do that kind of research and then come up, like complete that work. Just don't leave it in the middle. And yes, third is asking for help. So in case studies, even in your case, do reach out to your, maybe someone you know that, okay, if you're not very comfortable with some concept, you're not being able to understand, try to reach out to people who you think can help you out, understanding that or coming up, and then maybe run your ideas against some people. Because when you actually speak out your ideas, when you say that, okay, I'm thinking that I can go with these competitors, or I can look into this solution, I can market it in this way, that will actually help you understand. So the feedback that you get from the people you share it with will help you understand that, okay, these are the probable loopholes in my solution. And maybe, okay, this needs to be worked upon. And then you'll understand that, okay, I am not really aware of this. So research more on that. And apart from that, like when you are actually reading up about the case study, when you're building the knowledge base, do not forget that. Because what happens is when you're actually presenting the case study, you will get questions. So for that, it is the kind of knowledge, resources, and all that you have created, which will help you. So maybe create a proper backup of the data that you have gone through, like doing some sort of keeping notes of that, so that you can easily refer back to that. And if you face some questions that, okay, why have you taken this particular assumption? Why have you chosen this particular strategy? You will be in a position to give proper reasoning for that. So yeah, that's all from my side. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Type in your questions in the chat box, or guys, you all can feel free to unmute yourself, or you can ask Shreya anything. So we have a question. Yeah, okay, Ashmita, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ashmita, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I was saying that we are given that the Indian TWS market witnessed a record year, shipping 20.3 million units with a healthy 74.7% year-over-year growth. So since it is written shipping, so do we consider that it is shipping inside the country or shipping all over the world?
Sneha, Pradyumna, either one of you all can take this up.
Can you repeat your question?
Pardon?
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, sure. I was saying that we are given that the Indian TWS market witnessed a record year, shipping 20.3 million units with a healthy 74.7 year-over-year growth in 2021. So since we are given the shipping of 20.3 million units, so do we consider over here that the products were shipped just in within the boundaries of our country, or was it shipped outside India as well?
See, in that case, the shipment of the product is inside India as well as outside India. It is globally.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Participants, we will not be able to answer questions related to the case study that we have given you. You can ask general questions with respect to your doubts with respect to case studies in general. So just clarifying that. Okay, so we have a question. So Priyamada Pathak says, ma'am, can you please tell a few basic points that we should take into consideration while making a financial plan?
Yeah, hi. So for making a financial plan, basically, you try to understand that what are your sources of revenue. Revenue basically means what will be the sources from where you earn that money. And then depending on what kind of operations you are considering, what will be the sources of expenses. And so for this, you can go as much into detail as you want to. So, or you can keep it like an overview type. So when I say about going into details, what I mean is when I say like revenue for a company. So now I could simply say revenue, or I could break it down further, saying that, okay, considering this company, let's assume that market size of this company is this much. So this will like have a revenue of some rupees. From that, some part of the revenue will be coming from this, from B product, from C product, or you could also do a kind of geographical distribution. So that could be that, okay, considering that we are a global brand, or maybe we are an Indian brand, 20% of our revenues come from, like, let's say Maharashtra, 30% come from Delhi. So that could be a type of breakup for revenue. And then you could have a cost structure. So for in cost structure, basically what comes up is, while making the product, what are your various costs? Let's take a very simple example. So like if you have a baking outlet, for that, your costs would be first your material costs. So like for baking that cake or baking those pastries, what are the material costs that you will have? So getting that maida, that sugar and all. So you club them together and makes one cost for that. And then maybe you can have further costs. So like what is the rent? Are you taking that? Are you proposing that the facility will be taken on rent, or will it be your own facility? So in that case, you need to consider things like, okay, if I take it on rent, I'll have to give interest cost. So how should I take, what percentage interest should I take? And so after that cost, then comes costs like the human cost, so labor costs. So these are now the cost breakups that you do. And then what you do is you try to project that. So like if you're starting up a business in 2022, let's say, so for 2023, you say that, okay, I am a small business right now, or maybe this product it has just started right now. So the scale of that product may be lower. And then year on year, so like as it is mentioned that it was 20.3 million units this year, and it was a year on year increase from the previous year. So for that, you kind of create a forecast. So what is like a prediction that, okay, in the next year, we'll scale up our operations. That is very evident because you get revenue, you try to build up on that revenue, you try to make your operations more efficient. And based on that, you kind of create that, okay, going forward, I would like to increase my presence in more cities. So for that, you come up with the financial planning based on these assumptions or these factors. Does this help, or you have any other query?
Thank you, Sneha. That was very informative and gave us a different perspective on how to crack these case studies. So thank you so much for your time. Moving on, now we have Prachi Dote, a first-year student of SCMHRD, currently pursuing sales and marketing. She became the national finalist of Clock Speed 2.0 hosted by XLRI. She was the second runner-up of SCMHRD Zeal 3.0 last year. So she is the perfect candidate to talk to you on how you should approach SCMHRD Zeal. So Prachi, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Jatin, and thank you, APR team, for giving this opportunity to interact with the participants. Exactly 1 year back, I was in the same shoes and wondering how would I go about the case studies. So definitely for me, the case study approach during our time was about reading the problem statement, understanding how the case competition is asking to approach, what are the key points that they want, what are the deliverables that you need to work upon. The major points for me, which were difficult for me to work on, were the planning about financial budget and then making a strategic plan for marketing. All these were some of the key points that now it is a day-to-day work for me. It is something that I always do when I participate in case studies. But as an initial step, as a starters, it was somewhat difficult, but then you go upon deciding about the financial statements, you study the industry of the competitors that might be. And yes, I read here, so many questions are about the assumptions. What kind of assumptions do we take? And somebody asked if I need to have a proof of the assumptions. So the questions about these, I can say that, see, the assumptions you can take, and the main point of giving you the discretion for taking the assumptions is that you have to make it as realistic as possible. You're given a set of data and then you work on it, make it, for us, it was EV industry to work upon. And at the same time, there was EV launched by Ola. So I assumed them to be our competitors, and then I worked upon how they would be at the same timeline with us and how we would tackle about it. So this is somehow you make your case study more specific and have an edge over the competition. So that is something that I would say.
Thank you for your perspective, Prachi. We really appreciate your valuable time. So thank you. Moving on, let me hand over the session to Kiran.
So hello everyone. Moving forward with our Q&A session, we now have Dr. Natasha Cole. Ma'am has completed her PhD in 2017 from Institute of Management, Nirma University in areas of organizational excellence, high performance, HR outsourcing, work psychology, and work behavior. She is currently working as an assistant professor in area of human resources at Symbiosis International University. She is also exploring business opportunities in human resources consulting and training. Her research interests include leadership development, brand identity creation, sustainability, open innovation. Her specialties include leadership, open innovation, and mindfulness. We are glad to have her here. Our second guest for today is Dr. Dipasha Sharma. Ma'am has completed PhD in 2013 from IIT Roorkee, Department of Management Studies in the field of banking finance. She has served as a faculty at various institutes and currently working as an assistant professor in the area of finance at Symbiosis International University. She has experience in full-time research in the area of banking finance and hands-on experience in statistical modeling, data analysis, and stochastic modeling of financial data. She is also well-versed with applications of statistical and econometric software packages such as SPSS, eView, Stata, SAS, DEA, and SFA. Modeling and financial modeling using Excel and VBA. She has proficiency in various fields related to finance like market research, financial modeling, econometric modeling, consultation and teaching in various areas of business and teaching in financial management and banking finance. We are glad to have you here. We would now like to open the floor for questions.
So thank you so much, APR team, for this wonderful session. And we are glad to see that how well all seniors as well as even the current batch students are sharing their experience, wonderful experience, and answering the queries also pretty nice way. So in case if aspirants are still having some doubts, if they really want to know something more, they can interact with us, me or Dr. Natasha. We are open to resolve any of your queries.
Aspirants, apart from everything that has already been discussed, we encourage you to ask both Natasha ma'am and Bipasha ma'am any questions you would have with respect to anything about an MBA in general as well, and ma'am would be happy to take those questions up as well. So please use the chat box so you can unmute yourself and go ahead. Okay, ma'am, so we do have a question. So it's by Om Tanki. He says, I'm a final year engineering student. I'm participating in case study competitions for the first time. I am new to business and marketing terms related to industries. Any tips on how to understand the given problem and start making case studies?
Natasha ma'am, would you like to go ahead? Or shall I answer?
Take it away, ma'am.
Okay. In my opinion, like if you're having a particular case study, okay, let's say it's on electronic bike or EV, okay, electronic vehicle segment, okay. So obviously this must be given in the case study that what is the industry or what is the company, okay. Probably it's a hypothetical company, that is also okay, but they must have given you some background, okay. In that case, that's my urge to you, that just read about that industry, okay. When you are presenting, when you're doing some case study, please do research, okay. You must know. Forget about EV. Even if I'm giving you a simple case study on a pharma industry or per se restaurant industry or any XYZ industry, you must know some bare minimum facts about that particular industry, okay. What is the size by which that industry is growing, okay, what is the potential about that particular industry you can see, and that you can easily observe if you are following any good business daily, okay, or any particular good business magazine or through a proper search engine, okay. You can get it from the various resources, okay. So you should know, you must know probably that what are the key characteristic or features of that particular industry, and then what are the key terms which we use in that particular industry, right? So if we are going to talk about the aviation industry, in the aviation industry we look at some different drivers, versus in case of restaurant industry we are going to look at some different drivers in case of EV, okay. So the humble suggestion is that don't just limit your discussion to the case only. If there are ideas given about the industry background, please do a little more research, okay, and then get yourself accustomed about what exactly that industry is, how it's growing in India, how it is growing globally, okay. All these things will help you a lot when you're going to make estimation, okay. There were some questions like how we can we make our assumptions? Assumptions, yes, you can make, but there has to be a justification. There has to be a solid justification that you will get to know only when you will do a proper research, okay. Understanding the marketing jargon or business jargon, that also you'll be able to get to know if you'll do a little more research about that particular industry at least. That's my take. Over to ma'am.
So just adding to what Bipasha ma'am said, like, we're talking about assumptions and we're talking about estimates. It's very important to also understand what economic predictions are for a given cycle, because they'll hugely affect what assumptions you're making, how realistic they are. And when you're spending so much of time, like ma'am said, I think you get a lot of industry reports also. That's a great way to base your assumptions on, because that is a lot of factual data. You'll also get, like ma'am said, a lot of jargon from there. And we so one thing that happens is we're unnecessarily scared of jargon. It's not that complicated. So just one read and you all should be good. So just identify the industry, see if you find some reports, like ma'am said. The more time you spend researching and understanding the industry, the better the quality of your recommendations or solutions will be. So spend some time understanding the industry and basing your assumptions on what is actually going on. I think that would really help you.
Ma'am, we have another question. So how should one incorporate SWOT analysis while preparing a case?
I think the name in itself tells you. So, it's a great way to so whenever you're implementing a solution, see, it's one thing to give a solution, and then it's another thing to understand whether that solution will work for you or not. So, a solution that might work for X company in X circumstances might not work for Y company in X circumstances also. So, when you're when you're providing solutions, it's very important to know whether you will be able to deliver those solutions or not. And that's where a SWOT comes into play. It sort of tells you, out of all the different options that you have to solve the problem, which one is best suited to your context. So, when we are sort of, if I were to say loosely, when we are customizing a solution, so whenever it's like, I'll give you a simple example. You're going to purchase a laptop, right? Something everyone has done, or a cell phone. There are so many parameters, right? So a cell phone that would work for me might not work for Dr. Dipasha, or might not work for Kiran, right? So for different people, the criteria is different. The same goes for a problem that a company is facing, right? So what solution is going to fit into my budget, into my timeline, into my existing resources that I have, into my strategy. That's what a SWOT tells you. So a SWOT will tell you what criteria or what kind of solutions are better fitted to you. So you do the SWOT for the company to understand your current situation as a company better in terms of then choosing a solution. I hope that helps. Dr. Dipasha, anything to add?
So ma'am had already pointed out the very, very important aspect of this. And it's like that, in case of business case studies, there is nothing like it's totally white or totally black. Okay, it's going to be the right answer, like 10,000 has to be the right answer, or 20,000 has to be the right answer. So when you do all these things, actually you are trying to build a story and also a justification, okay, that why my arguments are in this particular favor because of these XYZ points of strength. But also we always do a little scenario analysis, that what if the things are not gonna be the way we want to, or what are the things, or what are the factors which we need to be a little more cautious, okay? So that your internal weaknesses versus the outside threats or challenges you can face, okay? So in this way, it always give you a little range, okay? So that means my answer is going to be into, or my estimations are going to be in a particular range. So we always look at what is the window, like the most scenarios, okay? So optimistic scenario, what is going to be the revenue, versus the pessimistic scenario, what is going to be the revenue. So that when we build all these strength, weakness, opportunity, threat points in our discussion, so that's the very important aspect.
Ma'am, we have another question. So if someone has to approach a question related to preparing a recruitment or selection strategy for sales and finance functions of a company, so how can one go about it?
That's so open-ended. So look, again, so as an HR professional, I can tell you, so recruitment strategies depend on a lot of things. For example, every company has a formula that they've identified that works for them. So you try and test several methods of recruitment. So for example, whether campus recruitment works for you or not, whether you prefer like 2 levels of interviews, 3 levels of interviews, do you prefer to take some on the job test, what is the weightage that you give to things like experience, etc. So it's a permutation and combination that you use, and again that depends for different positions. So they are not function specific. So it's not like sales and marketing ke liye I'm using one recruitment strategy for the salesmen. For the managers, I might have a different one. For the VP, I might have a different one. There are some things which are common because you've identified certain factors or certain parameters, for example, across. So you can compare it to how you give the snap. So there's the snap which is common to SIU. Okay. And then each institute has its own process that you need to follow. So SCMHRD has its own process. The other institutes have their own process. Now, these are processes that we have identified work for us, right? We have identified what are some things we are looking for in candidates. We have identified, how we want to test our candidates. So we want to do an interaction. We want you to do a group exercise. So those are things we want you to do. That's our process. Okay. That's something we've discovered works for us, and that's how we get the best candidates. So similarly, it's the same process that a company does. So you have this common process that applies to everyone, and then you have sort of customized processes that over a period of time you discover. So, every year there are changes to the process because of your experience, and every year you look to make your process more robust. So, any tools, interviews are a great way to assess candidates. You can have, are very famous, and the ones we really like, जिस पे बहुत jokes होते हैं, मेरे को ये pen बेच के दिखाओ वाला questions. So, you find out how you want to do that, but it's the same. So I probably, like, one thing I'd eliminate is for a sales and marketing, I would not make you do a written test, right? I might make you do a sampling. So that's like me asking you to sell me something. Or I might ask you your experiences, if you have any work experience, or if you have any internships, I might ask you about that. So a lot of experiential questions in terms of, selections. And then how you're going to shortlist people depends on what your criteria are again. So, it's when I go to class, I think one of my most favorite lines to tell my students is every time you ask them a question, in situation mein hum kya karenge? And they'll tell me it depends. And I'm beginning to realize that every time you guys are asking me a question, my answer to that is turning out to be, it depends on so many things, but that's what it is, right? It's just that you need to know what it depends on. So there's no rule of thumb, any permutation and combination. And like Dipasha ma'am said, if you can justify it based on the facts given in the case, based on the SWOT analysis you've done, you will see a couple of options emerging as more optimal than others, right? So it depends on what the case situation is also. Baki tools, you can use any and every. So how you justify your selection of tools is, I think, very, very important.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for all your insights. Now we have Jatin, who would speak about the SNAP examination and also about SCMHRD.
So as already stated, we posted the links to the SNAP test. You can register there at snaptest.org. So I'll talk a little bit more about SCMHRD. My life at SCMHRD has been wonderful after the lockdown. Coming from the same city, I've been in Bangalore all my life, and then coming here has been a great experience. So a little more about the college. We were established in 1993. SCMHRD's MBA program is one of the most prestigious MBA programs in India. We are ranked amongst the top 20 B schools in the country. So what sets us apart from other B schools? We have a student-driven culture. So what that means is all our clubs and committees are run by us, the students. We have one of the most stellar placements. We're ranked number 4 on Unstopped. And we have student exchange programs wherein you could, spend a semester abroad as well. We have tie-ups with the Berlin School of Economics as well. So, our facilities at SCMHRD as well are amazing. We have some of the best-in-class sports facilities, a great campus life, hostels boasting of some of the best facilities I've experienced personally. and a great auditorium as well. So, these are some of the reasons why you should come to SCMHRD. Also, we are AACSP accredited. So what that means is, we have some of the best in class faculty, and you can feel that the difference once you join SCMHRD and once you're here, pursuing an MBA. So in conclusion, I would say, I hope I see some of you guys next year at SCMHRD, and we wish you the best of luck.
On behalf of the admissions and PR team of SCMHRD, we would like to thank all the panelists and the aspirants for their valuable presence. We hope that this session helped you clear some of your queries on how to approach a case study. We are grateful to our esteemed faculty members, Natasha ma'am and Dipasha ma'am, for giving us their valuable time to help the aspirants get an insight into the world of case study writing in MBA. In case you have any further queries, please feel free to reach us out on social media handles. The links for the same have been shared in the chat box. Thank you so much for everyone who has joined. All the best for your SNAP examination.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you.
All the best, parents, and
Thank
thanks a
you.
lot to your team.